What exactly is the Boston Bruins plan with Joonas Korpisalo, who was acquired from the Ottawa Senators in a Linus Ullmark trade, but who really underwhelmed last season?
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Wednesday, June 26th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine. Free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. On today's podcast, we are continuing our discussion on the Bruins trade earlier this week with the Ottawa Senators that sent Linus Ullmark to Canada's capital in exchange for a first-round pick, Joonas Korpisalo, and Mark Kastelic, and we're going to focus primarily on Korpisalo and what the plan is with him. Also, a logo update as Fanatics officially takes over here for the NHL jerseys for this coming season. Before we get into that, quick reminder, you can find the podcast on social media at Locked NHL Bruins, and you can find me, my hockey thoughts, dad jokes at Ian C. McLaren. All right, now when the Bruins pulled off this deal with the Senators, there were some questions as to why Joonas Korpisalo was included in the return. Like I said on yesterday's show, I could understand a 25th overall pick in exchange for Linus Ullmark. I can understand sending a late first round draft pick to shed Korpisalo's contract, which carries an average annual valuation of $4 million for the next 4 seasons. As it happens, the Bruins traded Ullmark, got the first round pick, but also took on Korpisalo's contract at a discounted rate, $3 million over the next few seasons, the next 4 seasons. So what's the plan here? Do they actually plan to deploy him as a 1B to Jeremy Swayman to serve as his backup, to compete with Brandon Bussi in training camp? Don't forget, Bussi was signed the other day to a 1-year, 2-way contract, and he is not waiver exempt. So in order to assign him to the Providence Bruins following training camp, assuming Swayman's your starter, Korpisalo is the backup, then Bussi has to go through waivers, and they could risk losing him there. It's happened before. Malcolm Subban, gone. So what's the plan? If they were to buy out his contract, which would be 2/3 of his remaining salary, they'd be responsible for $8 million of that 10.666667 payout spread over 8 years. And then they would probably also have to sign another veteran goalie to complement Jeremy Swayman and Brandon Bussi. I had always thought that even if they traded Ullmark and just cleared that cap space and had Swayman and Bussi signed, I could have easily seen them signing a veteran goaltender to at least come into training camp on a pro tryout, push Bussi, make him earn it, or steal the backup job if Bussi's not ready. Is it really worth picking up that first round pick and then being on the hook for 8 years if they were to exercise a buyout? That is not insignificant. And you don't want that cap hit. It would save them money for the first few years, but then it would cost against the cap near the end of that buyout. Now, they could also trade him. Is there a market for Korpisalo to be flipped? Jacob Markstrom was traded from the New Jersey Devils or to the New Jersey Devils. They just have Dustin Wolf there. Maybe they would be willing to part with a pick to bring Korpisalo in to serve as a veteran presence there. So those are the options with Korpisalo. You either buy him out and you're on the hook for 8 years. Let's take a look at Cap Friendly while we can. Still kind of ticked off at the Washington Capitals for purchasing this beautiful website, but what have you. And hilariously enough, if you Google Cap Friendly right now, Joonas Korpisalo is like the first thing underneath the main website, signaling that a lot of people are looking up his contract right now and what it would take to buy it out. So, all right, let's say they choose to buy him out. His cap hit, full cap hit, is $4 million over the next 4 seasons. The Senators are on the hook for 25% of that. The Bruins are on the hook for 75%. So let's say they were to buy him out. The savings this year would be $3.666667 million. They'd be on the hook for $250,000. Not bad. Next year would be $625,000. The year after that would be $1.375 million. The fourth year would be $1.75 million. And then it would be $1 million against the cap over the next 4 years. So $8 million total. And I mean, do you want to be having that dead money? Yes, the cap should be going up, but I don't know if you want to have that dead money on your books for the next 8 years. The other option, of course, is to trade him. I would be shocked if there's a market for Joonas Korpisalo. The Bruins were willing to take him on. Could they flip him? Well, it seems as though they're intent on keeping him around and trying to get the most out of him as Jeremy Swayman's counterpart in net. A buyout does not seem likely. In fact, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. We'll talk about that coming up. A trade, probably not happening, although it would be nice to flip him for, a second-round pick or third-round pick in this year's draft. I mentioned the Calgary Flames. They have 2 second-round picks, 2 first-round picks, 2 third-round picks, 2 fourth-round picks. And right now, their goalies are Dan Vladar and Dustin Wolf as a restricted free agent, 26-23. And they have $23 million in projected cap space. I could see a scenario where the Bruins see if they would be willing to give up a second, maybe a third, maybe one of each for Korpisalo, but it really does look like the Bruins are going to keep him around, and we'll discuss what the plan is here coming up after these messages. Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your ride, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with the eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit every time or your money back. With eBay Motors, you are burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. And the eBay Guaranteed Fit is available only to U.S. customers. Thank you so much once again for making Locked On Bruins part of your daily routine, free and available on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. While you're on YouTube, check out Locked On Sports Today. All the latest news, analysis, opinions from across the Locked On universe, free on YouTube and the Amazon Fire TV channels app. At the end of the day, it does appear as though the Bruins do not plan to buy out Joonas Korpisalo. In fact, in an email quoted by Fluto Shinzawa of The Athletic, his agent, Marcus Leto, said Korpi will play for Boston. The team has no plans to buy out Korpisalo at this time, a team representative confirmed to The Athletic. Again, had the Bruins planned to buy him out, they'd be responsible for $8 million spread out over 8 years. And then they'd probably have to sign another veteran to complement Swayman and Bussey. Instead, Korpisalo and his $3 million AAV projects to be Swayman's number 2 in 2024, 2025. And considering Swayman's salary is going up, let's say it's in the 7 range, you're going to have a goaltending tandem counting for about 10% or 10 million against the cap. And that's not insignificant, especially for a goalie with the second lowest goals saved above expected in the NHL last season. An .890 save percentage. He allowed the first goal on the first or second shot like multiple times. And while a lot of people argue, well, perhaps he could be more successful in the Bruins system, you got to remember, these are not your Zdeno Chara and your Patrice Bergeron Bruins. The Bruins were regularly out-attempted and outshot last season. Not a fantastic possession team. And if you give up an early backbreaker or an early goal or two, that could really set the team back. What made the Bruins successful last season was the goaltending. They kept that tandem together during that transition season because it was literally the backbone of the team. And without Ullmark last season, the Bruins would have been a far different spot in the standings. Now, as Fluto notes, the Bruins do play a tighter defensive style than the Senators did. Jim Montgomery's system, the Bruins allowed 2.55 expected goals per 60 at 5-on-5 play last season. Senators were at 2.64. Not a huge difference there. The Bruins allowed 7.42 high danger shots per 60. The Senators were at 7.59. Not huge differences. And again, the Senators, or the Bruins, I should say, were regularly out-attempted, outshot, and outchanced 5-on-5 last season. They were not a good possession team. Shot attempts, they ranked 24th when it comes to shots at 5-on-5. The differential there, they come in at 23rd. When it comes to, scoring chance differential, the Bruins were a bit better. They come in at 11th. And then when it comes to high danger chances 5-on-5, they ranked 19th. So you take Joonas Korpisalo's save percentage versus Linus Ullmark's save percentage, and there's going to be a bit of a difference in goals. Now, what the Bruins are counting on is goalie coach Bob Essence's magic to help turn around Korpisalo's game. It's not to say he's been terrible his whole career. He has had seasons, he's had moments where he has looked okay. And you just have to look as recently as 2 seasons ago, where he was picked up by the LA Kings for their playoff push and, played decent for them. 11 games, a .921 save percentage. He appeared in 6 playoff games, .892 save percentage. But back in 2020, he played 9 playoff games for the Columbus Blue Jackets with a .941 save percentage, which was pretty impressive indeed. I believe that was the COVID bubble playoff, and that was the year that they won in the qualifying round against the Toronto Maple Leafs and then lost in the first round to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Korpisalo with a .941 save percentage against those two teams, bumping out the Maple Leafs, which could be a good omen for the Bruins if they have to play them again. So he's had moments. He's been able to show that he can play at the NHL level and be a very good starter. Korpisalo is familiar, according to Shinzawa, with the shin lock, the technique Essensa endorses to play the strong side post. And Korpisalo is a more fluid goalie than Ullmark. It took Ullmark a full season to feel comfortable incorporating some of the techniques that Essensa prefers his goalies to use. Korpisalo, again, already kind of familiar with the techniques he endorses. If Essensa can do his thing with Korpisalo and he settles in as like a 30-start backup, the Bruins could be in pretty good shape in net. $3 million AAV. Yeah, it doesn't really align with his performance last season. That's why the Senators wanted to get out of it. That's why Senators fans were rejoicing that they were able to dump that contract and add Ullmark. But again, he had that nice run in 2020. He played very well for the Kings when they picked him up. And it does appear as though, and this is from his agent and the team, there will not be a buyout. He will be a Bruin come training camp. Now, they do need to still sign Swayman. They had $8.475 million allocated to goaltending last year. They've got at least 3. You have to think Swayman's contract is going to be more than 5.475. The cap did go up, so overall it'll be a similar percentage to what they had last year. Of course, they'll have to make a decision on Bussy. He will require waivers to be assigned to the AHL in the event that Korpisalo does indeed earn that spot. Could be worth a waiver claim for a team looking for depth. It would leave Michael DiPietro as the number 3 goalie and the primary starter in Providence. So that's the story with Joonas Korpisalo. It definitely appears as though he will be a Bruin come training camp. He will be competing for the backup job. I would not expect a full 41-game split between these two teams. Pencil Swayman in for 50 starts, Korpisalo for 30. And the hope is that goalie Bob can work some of his magic and get full value out of that $3 million AAV that they are on the hook for with Korpisalo over the next 4 seasons. This isn't just a 1-year thing. This is a guy they're picking up. If it doesn't work out, maybe we'll see a buyout exercise next summer or perhaps flipped at the trade deadline. There are options there. Ottawa retaining some salary gives them more flexibility that way. But welcome, Korpisalo. Farewell, Linus Ullmark, who had a very nice tribute on Instagram. A lot of the Bruins sharing their thoughts. Jeremy Swayman saying, "Brother forever." You're not going to break those bonds, but we'll have to see what kind of a hugger Korpisalo is if and when he and Swayman decide to keep that tradition going here in Boston. Speaking of tradition, the Bruins are going back to a more traditional look for this coming season, and we'll discuss that here as the podcast continues. I've already been to one baseball game this summer using the Game Time app, and I plan on going as soon as possible. It is such an easy way to get tickets as an authorized ticket marketplace for MLB. Makes getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying baseball tickets. I love the view from your seat. You know exactly what to expect when you arrive at the ballpark, and your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time, download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Game Time, last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. We bid a fond farewell here today to the Bruins Centennial logo and jerseys. I'm wearing it on my hat here this morning if you're watching on YouTube, complete with the Centennial patch. But with Fanatics taking over for Adidas, the Bruins have announced that following the memorable and historic Centennial year, their traditional team logo will be restored as planned to its primary identity for the upcoming 2024-25 season. The Bruins Centennial celebration will continue into the next season with additional programming throughout the fall, a fan fest tour, 100 Days of Hockey initiative, and it will culminate with the Bruins Centennial game on December 1st, marking the 100th anniversary of the Bruins' first game against the Montreal Maroons in 1924. That happens to be my birthday, so maybe I need to be in the house for that. Now, along with that, the NHL announced the official debut of the Fanatics Authentic Pro NHL on-ice uniforms. The Bruins posted a video of Brad Marchand trying it on for the first time. These will be worn during the upcoming season, and they will also be officially unveiled the NHL draft this coming Friday and Saturday. The next generation of players will receive the official Fanatics jersey of their new team after their name is called on stage. Some players were endorsing these jerseys in the release. Austin Matthews saying they did a great job designing the jerseys. They feel comfortable, look breathable. Any little detail that can help the players perform at their best makes a difference. Connor Bedard saying the Fanatics jersey looks good. I like that there's not a lot of change from the older version. I also like the design of the new practice jersey. Other players chipping in and endorsing it as they are supposed to. We'll see once they're actually unveiled and worn during games what people are feeling about it. So that's pretty much it for the latest on the Boston Bruins and the NHL. Another note was that the Buffalo Sabres plan to buy out Jeff Skinner. He'd be a great addition on the cheap for this team as they look for scoring wingers, especially if Jake DeBrusk is gone, which it certainly appears as though that is the case. There's a lot of movement that's going to take place over the next couple of days for sure. There's the draft on Friday, which the Bruins will now be a part of. Don Sweeney is expected to talk to the media tomorrow. So later on this week, we'll do everything you need to know from what he shared. We'll discuss some more potential draft options. I've already mentioned Jet Luchenko, Sasha Boisvert. Those are the two guys that I would like the Bruins to target. But consider yourselves brought up on all the latest on the black and gold here on Locked On Boston Bruins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day. Please do take care of yourselves. I'm a bit tired today. We had our 8th grader graduate last night. He's off to high school in the fall. Cannot believe it. It's been a busy week with school winding down. You'll probably see 1, 2, 3 of the boys pop on here at some point as they ask me for V-Bucks or for snacks or to go to the corner store here over the summer. But we press on and we talk about this team that we love so much here every day on Locked On Boston Bruins, your team again every single day. Take care, friends. Talk to you again here tomorrow.